Apparently, you weren't too happy with that whistle from my latest remake, Sticky by Tyler the Creator, that I put out about last week. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and redo that whistle to make it right. When I put out these remakes, I like to get them as accurate as possible. If something is wrong, I got to fix that. So in this one, that's what we're going to do. But first, let's go ahead back to that remake and listen to that whistle to see what we need to change. So there are 3 things wrong with that whistle and 1 thing right. Let's start off with the positive. The notes were correct, but the length of the notes are wrong, the placement of the notes are wrong, as well as the sound choice. So let's go ahead and fix all that right now. So to start, let's go ahead and drag in that whistle MIDI from the remake. We'll go ahead and adjust that MIDI to make it the proper placement. So get that one checked off the list. So what you got to do here is, I'm just going to delete this first pattern here. So the notes are right here. So this is the melody pattern of it, except we got to move it over a couple of beats. So it's going to start off like that. So let's go ahead and just cut out everything else because it does just repeat itself. Now we got to adjust the length of those notes, but first let's bring in a more proper instrument for that whistle. So after searching up Logic for a better whistle sound, I found one under Legacy, GarageBand. You're going to go over to Soloists and the Whistler instrument right here. It is a voice instrument. It's not much you can adjust in it, but the whistle is as close as you can get to that natural whistling sound using an instrument in Logic. So now we get this. Now let's go ahead and fix the length of those notes. But before we do, we're going to select all of our notes and we're going to turn up our velocity on all of them to get the proper performance out of this instrument. So I'm going to hold down Shift and Option and I'm going to drag up my velocity, and it's going to fix all of the velocities to the same, all of the MIDI notes velocity to the same one. So each one will be 127 now. And now let's adjust the length of those notes. So if we look at the original MIDI over here, you'll see it kind of stops like right over here. So we're going to pull this one back. For the next one, we'll follow the next one here. And what I'm doing here, I'm just following the waveform over here. So let's drag our playhead. And this gets shorter as well. Let's drag our playhead. This gets shorter. This one doesn't start till here, so we got to move that. And that's also a quick one, so we're going to pull this back. Let's take this. This starts right on this note. And then right over, let's just take a listen to the original one to see where the F sharp comes in. So this is the proper placement over here. So now if we go ahead and listen to this one. It's a lot closer, except I'm just going to go ahead and make these notes a little bit quicker here. It sounded a little bit long as we just listened to it. So it's going to be a little tighter over here. In this first note, we're going to bring down the velocity a little bit because it's a little softer in the original one as well. Next, let's go ahead and get the tone for this whistle down correct using some effects. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just going to erase these plugins that are already in place here. So we're just going to hold down the Command key and click those. We're going to bring up an EQ and just filter out some of the lows first. Just clean that up a bit. Then we're going to bring in some distortion. We'll go to Distortion Overdrive. And we're going to use a preset here to bring out the sort of the tone that we want from this whistle. And it's the crispy preset. Next, we'll add in a bit crusher for some noise. So let's go back over here. We'll go to Distortion. We'll go to Bit Crusher. And we're just going to use the default setting that loads up here. We're going to pull up the resolution here. So we just want some of that artifacty noise in the background. Just bring it down in the mix a bit. Just to make it a little bit gritty. And then we got to get that note sliding from the G to the F sharp at the end of the pattern. So this right over here, this note to this note should slide into each other, just like the original one. All right, so it shouldn't be as static and sort of as choppy as ours. So you see how it sounds choppy when it goes from this note to this note? So because our voice instrument right over here doesn't have a legato option, we can't slide between the notes. We're gonna go ahead and do that manually. So for that, we're going to go over to our instrument plugin. We're going to go audio units. It's off my screen here. We're going to go to Apple, and we're going to go to Apple AU pitch plugin. So this plugin allows you to glide between notes without it stepping between the semitones. And all we need to go here is 1 semitone or 100 cents. So we got to automate this. We're going to hit A on our keyboard. Whoa. A on our keyboard over here in our track. And we're going to go over to our AU pitch, and we're going to go to our pitch parameter to adjust the glide. So before we do that, let's go ahead and just mute this note because we don't want it. And we're just going to slide this all the way out. And we're going to slide our note from this point to this point using some automation. So I'm going to zoom on in here. All right, so I'm going to just put on 1 point here. I'm going to put another point here. And I'm going to pull this down 100 semitones to get from the G to the F sharp. So once you get to the point as close as you can get it to, you're going to click that dot and hold down Control to fine tune it. So we're going to go all the way up to 100 cents. And now when we play it, the notes will glide into each other. All right, maybe we can make that a little bit tighter. Let's pull that back a bit. Actually, maybe I liked it better like that. Let's play it with the other one. So you can hear it also does sound a little bit dissonant. So we're going to fix that in a moment. But first, let's go ahead and just bring in a little bit of reverb to get that space in there. So we're going to bring in Logic's Chroma Verb. Let's go to Reverb, Chroma Verb. And we're just going to use the default setting that loads up here. I'm just going to bring down the dry a little bit here. Bring down the wetness value. And to make things a little bit simpler, to get that dissonance to be almost the exact same as the original one, I'm going to go ahead and bounce this in place. I'm going to select my region and go Control B. All right, now we have that in audio form. And now let's check the tuning of that original whistle to see how much it is off from being a perfect pitch. So if I open up Logic's tuner over here on the original sample, you can see for the most part, it's hovering around -20 cents from the note itself. So if I go ahead over to our audio region over here, I'm going to go to fine tune and I'm going to type in -20. So it's going to bring down everything by -20 cents. So now if I play it together, it sounds a lot closer, except for that last note, because that last note, if we go ahead and look closely at it, it's actually perfect pitch. So now you hear that dissonance in between there. All right, so if we go back to our tuner over here, it's about really close to being that perfect F sharp. So we got to fix that as well in this audio. What we're going to do here is to offset that -20 that we're putting in there, we're going to bring this down to 120. So now when we bring everything down -20, this is going to be a perfect F sharp at the end of it all. So let's go ahead and bounce that region in place. We're going to click that region, Control B, bounce in place. All right, and now that's a lot closer. All right, so now that we fixed that whistle for the sticky Tyler Creator remake, I'm going to go ahead and update all those files for you so you can go ahead and get the proper whistle in those files. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. You know, when I do these remakes, like I said, I like to get this accurate as possible. If something is wrong, we got to fix it. If you have a question on this or having suggestions for future videos, let's go chat down below. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Peace.